All right, so let's come back here for a second and take a look at what exactly this source folder has inside of it. Now, I'm a big fan of kind of learning by doing, so I'm going to explain these briefly, and then we're just going to edit many of these files anyway. For example, the CSS file and all this. I want you to think about this initial app component and routing and all this other good stuff as our initial entry point. So as I mentioned, all of your other components that we're going to create, and we're going to create a new one in a second, are going to be fed into this router. And by default, they all come in. Now there's this TypeScript file here, app component TS, which is important because if you look at this root, this component here, it kind of shows you the things that sort of, let me kind of zoom in here a little bit so you could see that, make up this specific component and where the connections are. So for styling, because you might be wondering, well, how is it getting loaded into here? Like, and we're going to be loading in more of the these other components that we're going to be creating in a second. Well, just understand now that each one of these components is made up of these other files. So here's app component TS, which has all of these other component things. So here's our selector, which is our app root. This is that actual HTML file that's connected to this one. And then the way we're styling it is this CSS file, which is this one located right here. All right, so like I mentioned, we're going to be working on all this stuff little by little. So let's go ahead and just look at the command to create a new component that lists art. Okay, so what you could do is just kind of trash these two, and then I'm going to right click again and sell art, and I'm just going to open a new integrated terminal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in ng generate, and then whatever name we want to do it. So we could do component, but we want to do sort of our page for listing art. So then we write component for the component name, and then we do ng generate component, and then we'll do art dash listings. And this is going to generate a component called art listings inside of our app folder here. So let's go ahead and hit enter and see what happens. And now you can see that it created all of these files. And if we expand app here, you'll see we have a new folder here outside of our component called art listings. Now, we can also see here that if we go inside here, we have an art listings page. And if we look at our initial app component HTML, and then we look at our app component.ts, we might be wondering, well, how the heck do we connect all of these? Because this right here is our main entry point. So when we run this page, it's actually what's running this right here. And what I'd like to do is be able to put a slash there and do like listings or art listings. So let's take a look at that right now. Well, go ahead and open up your app.component.html file. I'm going to go ahead and close these out. Now, do you see that here where it says selector? This is extremely important. And if we look at our art listing component, it says art listings works, right? Well, if we go to our art listings component, it also has a selector. And notice it's app-art listing. This is important. Now watch what happens when I take this, and just above where my router is, I just start typing app. Now, mine autofilled, and if yours didn't, the reason for that is we want to install a couple extensions. So I'm going to go to extensions here, and notice off the bat when I type in Angular here, and it actually just showed the last few. I want to do Angular language, Angular snippets, and there's another one that a good friend of mine just told me about recently, and that's path. And what path does is it auto puts in all of your import paths. And the one that I think we were using is this one right here by Christian Kohler. So you want to install that one too. Now back to this, back to our listing page here. Watch what happens. I'm going to go ahead and dock this again. When we come back to this Welcome to Alex's Portfolio site, if I go ahead and save this, and I rerun this, you might be like, well, where's the app listing? Here, let me kind of shrink that for you for a second. Let me refresh that. Well, let me show you. Well, let's go ahead and rerun our page. So I'm going to do ng serve to rerun our project. Come on. There we go. It's rerunning our bundle. And what it's going to do is, now that I'm rerunning it, it compiled successfully. We're inserting into our listing page the actual art listings page here. So we have Welcome to Alex's Portfolio, which is again the this app component.html is our main entry point. But what I'm doing is taking all of the code from this art listing page. So for example, if I go in here now, above this art listing page works, I could just say, you know, thank you for looking at my art. And let's go with an H1 here. And let's close this up with an H1 as well. And when I save this, you can see it updated it here. And what's the real power behind Angular is that it puts everything inside of a single page. Like you're loading within a single page, which is a lot faster than traditional HTML, CSS, JavaScript models. Again, if this wasn't completely clear to you at first, it's okay. We're going to be creating a lot of different components and going back and forth. And sometimes you just have to rewatch the videos. I certainly had to go back and reread the books and re-ask questions to friends. So yeah, definitely. So I think this is a good start. We'll keep moving from